Family that weren't able to be here today, and Roberta has some other cousins that also weren't able to be here today. We first met Roberta in 1960. So she and Billy had been married in 1955, but we were all living in Detroit and they were living in San Francisco. And Billy would come visit us, but he'd come alone. So when we moved to California, we moved to Sacramento from Detroit, Roberta drove up with a pink car. Maybe it was purple car, but a pink/purple car. And she let us use that car. She let our family use that car. Roberta was the most elegant woman. So I was about 13 when I met her. She was the most elegant woman I had ever met. She was nothing like anybody that I had ever known. None of my friends' parents, not my parents, not my family. She was gorgeous, you know, and she was my aunt. So at 13-year-old, I was going like, wow, this is amazing. And luckily, she would allow my sister and I to come visit her occasionally. So my parents would put us on the Greyhound bus, and we were like so old and independent because we got to go alone on the Greyhound bus, and she'd meet us in Richmond. And we'd spend a couple days with her and Bill, and she would take us around, and she would show us her closet and her makeup. And not only did she show us her makeup, she put makeup on us. So as these young girls, you know, it was like, we died and gone to heaven, you know, it was fabulous. And then we look at her whole wardrobe of gowns, and you go like, lovely, you know. But that soon changed when she would take us into San Francisco for a treat, and she parked near the Emporium. And our first stop was always at the yogurt bar. So we knew we were going to be poisoned because she would make us have yogurt. You know, and that was in like the really early 60s. And so I'm not sure that yogurt was quite as widespread as it is now, but we survived. We did survive, so that was the good news. She always treated us like adults. She never treated us like we were kids, you know. She wanted us to dress well. She wanted us to look well when we went out with her. When she played, Bill would take us to where she played, and we would sit and listen to her. And that actually continued throughout our life, where she would take us to where she played. And I live in Seattle, so when I come down, she'd take me oftentimes to, one time I went to Junius's house while they were practicing. This was years ago. And then just right before she died, I was here visiting, and we came here. I brought her here for the Thursday night band. And she would always put me in back of the piano. You know, so I could watch her play, you know, which I thought was pretty cool. But she introduced us to so many wonderful things. So she introduced us to jazz, and she introduced us to the big band sound. And when she would play on Sunday afternoons for a senior center, she'd say, come, and I was at Berkeley at the time, so you know, I was just interested in smoking dope and listening to the Stones and marching and whatever. And then I'd go and I would listen to her play, and it was amazing, and watch people dance, and they loved it, and she loved it. She was wonderful. There's a lot more that I have to say. She was such a trendsetter. You know, her hairdos, she was always cutting edge. Yogurt was cutting edge. Some of you who have known her for really a long time, and Eve reminded me of this, her Bo Derek braids, like back in the 80s, you know, and you know, she was just always like ahead of her time. Her outfits would change according to the time, and like I'd always come to her house and go like, what's this change? And then like little by little, I would move along with the change, but she was there way ahead of me. I would like to share some lessons in life that I learned, and I'll just speak for my sister and say we learned, but I for sure learned from Roberta, and maybe some of you have learned similar lessons from Roberta. It was okay to put Crisco on your face. You know, instead of moisturizer or whatever you use to take makeup off, she'd use Crisco. And she'd go like, come here, Reva. And I'd go like, no, I can't do this. But it was okay to put Crisco on. And then it was never okay to be out in the sun. You had to be covered. So in order to be tan, she put on like the cream self-tanning thing on her arms and her legs. And I heard forever, you can't go out in the sun, you have to be covered up. Use this stuff so you can look tan. It was like, don't eat salt, don't eat sugar, don't eat fat, don't eat fast food. It's all bad for you while you're eating. And she'd send us books about don't eat sugar and how sugar is bad for you. Well, I love sugar. I love chocolate. I love ice cream. And I'm going like, okay, I'm not going to read this book. And like, don't eat salt, because salt's not good for you, you know. So whatever was coming out medically, it's like we would get the books. And it's like pizza, like what's pizza? It's dough, it's fat, dough, cheese, don't eat it. So my son was visiting Eve, he was staying at Eve's house, and Roberta came over, and we all went somewhere, and my son stayed home, stayed at Eve's house, and Roberta stayed there, and they ordered pizza for dinner. And then my son said, you know, Mom, Roberta didn't want me to order pizza, but I ordered it anyway because I wanted it, and she kept saying, it's bad for me, it's bad for me. I shouldn't eat it. I've never eaten it, like she would say to him, I've never eaten it. And she proceeded to eat probably 3/4 of the pizza. But then later, I heard that Roberta has some other friends that would always take her out for pizza. There you go. She would always say, wear sunglasses. So I noticed a number of people in the room have your sunglasses with you. She would be very proud of you. Because it was always, even in cloudy weather, wear your sunglasses and then you won't get wrinkle lines up here and on your forehead. So wear sunglasses, cloudy, sunny, rainy. Well, I live in Seattle. It's always cloudy and rainy, it feels like, especially now. And I wear sunglasses and people look at me and I go like, no. My aunt told me I have to wear sunglasses all the time. Stand up straight. She was always like, stand up straight, and like she hit my back, stand up straight. Sit up straight. Take your hair out of your face. Like, I was always getting these lessons. Take your hair out of your face. Stop touching your hair. Don't touch your face. Why would you touch your face? And then, like, I still touch my face, you know, all the time. And I would be sitting at the table, even like I saw her a couple days before she died. I was here visiting. And I was sitting at her table, and I was just sitting like this, because I do, you know. And she'd go like, take your hands away from your face. I go, okay. Okay, they're gone. And she said, I don't know why people always put their hands on their face. So it was comb your hair. She even was telling me to comb my hair last summer. And then she'd take a comb out of her purse, say, comb your hair. I'd like, but I did comb my hair today, you know. It was, what else? There was more, a few more things. And for the pianists in this room, because I play at playing the piano, and so sometimes she'd say to me, play something for me. Well, I can never remember any songs at all from memory, and so she'd put something in front of me and I'd like plunk out, you know, like some tune. And then she'd go, keep your fingers curved, keep your nails short, and then, did your teacher teach you chords? You have to learn chords. What's this chord? And I go, I don't know. You know, it's like, you have to learn chords. So for the pianists in the room, learn your chords, keep your nails short, keep your fingers curved, and practice a lot. Roberta was absolutely one of the most amazing women. I was so lucky to have her in my family. I know you're so lucky to have her as a friend, as a co-musician. But she was strong, she was clear in her convictions, and it was followed through with what you believe. You know, it was, you know, her politics were strong. She didn't want to hear any other side, but she also supported her politics. You know, she would work for politicians, and she donated money for her causes. She was really true to what she believed in. She was a woman of passion with what she loved, her cats, her friends, her charities, and thank God that jazz ruined her life, because it brought her in contact with all of you. So I hope we all grow as gracefully and strongly as she did. So the mic is open to those who want to say something. And then when we're done, we'll do a toast for Roberta. And then I also want to thank, we want to thank Junius Courtney, the group. It was amazing to be in an intimate setting with you. The music was lovely, and we're honored. Thank you. And we hope that after the talk that more people will play. So I like these open.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Parker. I'm representing my husband Lanny as well today. Lanny met Bill and Roberta in 1968. He worked with Bill at Highland Hospital. And then Lanny ended up becoming Roberta's gynecologist. Yeah, there you go. And then when Lanny and I became a couple, that was the early 80s. That's when I met Roberta. So before I left, we live up in Mendocino County. You might have heard that Roberta traveled up to see us every so often. Even though you thought of her as a city person, she really did love the country. And we live up near Boonville. She played jazz up there a couple times, one of which was my 49.5 birthday party. She joined a trio from Boonville area. And she also insisted in her mid-70s getting on one of her horses to ride again. And I wish I would have sent the picture to be part of the slideshow, but I'll make sure that I share it with Eve and Reba and the family. And she loved my husband's cooking, that's for sure. And so we really enjoyed having her up there until she was not really able to come up anymore. But she was very generous to us. She was our hotel in the Bay Area many times. So on behalf of Lanny and I, he wrote down a few words thinking of Roberta. Roberta was a daughter, a sister, a wife, a teacher, a pianist, a cook. She was beautiful. She was honest. She was loyal. All of us know there was no bullshit, right? She was direct, yeah, straightforward. She was our friend. She was considerate and kind, and as many have said, so generous. She was accepting, she was unique, and sadly missed. And as so many of our family members and friends have passed on over the years, we've often read this prayer called the Hopi Prayer. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints in snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there, I am alive, in every heart that remembers me.
I just also want to publicly thank Valerie Morris, who wrote this gorgeous obituary. I could not put the whole thing in the paper, because if you've ever put one in, they're very expensive. But thank you, Valerie.
Hi everyone, my name is Nat Courtney, I'm Junius's son. And my memories of Roberta are this. In 1983, I wasn't playing with the big band, I was doing top 40. I played with it from high school, 15 years old, I was playing with my dad. And after I graduated from high school, I was with this top 40 group, so I was playing with them, and I wasn't really playing with the big band then. And my dad had a gig at Ruthie's Inn. Ruthie's Inn was in Oakland, and he asked me, he says, you know, he had someone else playing drums. He said, hey, could you come down and sit in? And I want you to come down. It mean a lot to me. Come down and sit in on Sunday. So I got to the gig, and there's this beautiful lady at the piano, Roberta. She's playing piano, and I sat in, and the first tune was We Didn't Play Tonight was Who Me, and that pretty much featured piano, and Roberta was playing, and she played so nice, and I remember just how accomplished she was and her playing. And after that, I think the weekend came, and I had to go up to my father's house for something, and Roberta was up there visiting my dad. And she said, Junius, I met her, and she said, Junius, but who was the guy who played drums? And she said, well, this is him, this is my son Matt. He was the guy. She didn't really recognize him. She said, this is the guy. And she said, well, you need to be with us. You need to be with us. You need to be with the band, with your dad. And my dad said, well, yeah, Nat, you know. And the drummer that played that night, he said, well, you know, Junius, you got a son that plays drums already. He plays well. Why do you need me to play? So he stopped playing. I stopped playing. Back with the band in '83, and Roberta and I, for many years, as you guys know, played in the rhythm section together, and she was just wonderful. Her knowledge of music was really, she was spit and polish. Her music was, you know, she knew her music very well. And I heard one of the nieces say something about Roberta and how you looked and you dressed. If anybody found my tie crooked, or I didn't really get the shirt back over the back of the tie, and when I got ready today to come to the job here, this function here, first thing I thought about when I pulled my shirt over the back of my tie, is it all the way over? Because Roberta would notice that right away. She said, turn around. Turn around. And she straightened me up. But I remember when I first met her, I asked her about this song that I had heard Mel Torme sing. And it's called Reminiscing in Tempo, or Beloved. And Duke Ellington wrote it. It's a vocal. And I mean, if you go plug it in on YouTube, you'll be amazed. It's a really a beautiful ballad. And I asked her about it. Did she know about it? And she, of course she knew about it. And the next week rehearsal came, bam, written out for me. And I've had it for years. And about a month and a half ago, I was on YouTube listening to it. So I went in my attaché case and I got it. I got the piece out that she wrote, that she transcribed for me, put it on the piano, and start going over the chords. Now the chords, and it had a lot of arpeggiated chords all through it. It's a Duke Ellington thing, so you know, very difficult and not a lot of standard stuff. She transcribed it note for note from the record, and everything on the record is on that page. And I just thought about it and said, I've missed something here. Because I got it and then looked at it and then, think much of it, put it in with music. But she really had it together. I remember my children, when they were really little, coming to Roberta's house, and she'd have the greatest parties. I met some really professional, not just professional, famous musicians. Some that I would have never met unless I would have went to New York. I met right in her living room. She knew a lot of people, a lot of musicians, but when I would go to the house, come to the parties and things, my dad, she loved my dad, he loved her. Bring my children, they were really small. And she knew that I was gonna bring them, so she always had things for them. She had Hawaiian leis for them, hats, different things she had for them. She was thoughtful in that way. And what I loved about her is her dedication to the band, her dedication to music. And she really gave, me personally, she gave me so much attention. She gave me so much attention, and she admired me and my playing, and she, you know, she always said, you know, she said, Nat, I was over here, and, you know, I heard this band, and you know what, you're right there, Nat, and I loved her. We played a music engagement with, at the church where we rehearsed on September 8th, and Pat Mullen, our manager, said, Nat, I got something to tell you. We're outside. And she told me about Roberta. I said, and it really, sometimes you don't really know how something is going to affect you until you hear it. And it was just so much for me to hear that, you know, because I was so expecting to see her, you know. But her memory will always be with us in this band. She's one of the most precious members of this band that we ever had. And as a friend and family members, you all know. And she's just a wonderful person. And she will be missed. And when we play, we will always think about her.
I just have a couple of things that you guys didn't know about Roberta. Roberta could get a temper too every so often. Roberta had a sextet. Bob Smith, myself, and Bob Stewart was the horn players. And we were playing a gig over at the Albany YMCA. And there was a couple, they would have a dance class before the band played. And there was a couple, after the dance class, the band came on, and this particular couple, they were supposed to know how to do it by the time the band comes in. And this couple was dancing, it was getting on my nerve too, because the guy couldn't keep time for nothing. Roberta said, just look at him, look at him, look at him. He said, and we took a break. And Roberta said, Frank, go over and talk to him. I said, what am I going to say? I said, you do it. She called him because he was dancing right in front of the piano where Roberta could see him. And he ticked her off. She said, you can't dance. She said, listen to the beat, Nook. Nook was for Knucklehead. And then we forgot about it after that. Don't forget about it. Let him do what he wants to do. And she used to go to New York just about every year. And she would, at the Billy Vanguard, and she would call me on the phone and let me listen to the band on the phone. I listened to about 3 tunes before it would cut off. She said, Frank, are you there? Listen to this. And I was listening. I actually feel the rhythm and everything, all the way from New York to your Vanguard every year. Well, I just want to tell you about that knucklehead thing she told me about Nook. You can't beat the big Nook.
Somebody back here has their hand up.
All right, they'll be next. My name is Andres Soto, and I met Roberta actually before I joined the Junius Courtney Band. And, you know, of course, all the musical stuff is true, but with the advent of Facebook, Roberta was also checking out a lot of the political work that I do. And besides music, I've been involved my entire life in community advocacy, and that necessarily involves getting involved in the muck of politics. And I soon found that I had a fellow traveler, as they used to say. You know, someone who had the same political values, and certainly because you know, she was advanced in age, she couldn't come out and do many of the community kind of things that we did, but we'd always talk politics. Frankly, we didn't really talk music, we'd always talk politics. And So that it was actually quite rewarding to me, because in the political world, there's very few people who can say they're accomplished musicians. They're mostly schmucks. But in the musical world, there's a lot of people who have deep humanitarian values, but no direct political involvement. So it's like two separate worlds. And so I was deeply appreciative to be able to have Roberta as like a sounding board where we could share our political values and political information, and she kept up always with what was going on. And of course, then, at rehearsals and playing music together, just like with everybody in the band, it's its own reward. And I feel very fortunate to have known her, and very fortunate to have played with her. And so I'm just glad we're all here celebrating her. Thank you.
It was 1980, and I was working for Concord Jazz Records. And this lovely blonde woman came in and stuck her head around the door of my office and said, "Hi, I'm Roberta Mandel. I give wonderful parties. I'm going to have one in 2 weeks. I have 2 pianos in my living room, and I get the best pianists, world-renowned pianists. And all these wonderful people come, and we have this great food, terrific stuff to drink. It's really something else. I'm having one in 2 weeks, and I'm sorry I can't invite you." And I went, well, this isn't going anywhere. But you know what? Over the years, we became really good friends. And with people like Lois Cantor, we formed a group called the 9 Dots, several of whom are in the room. And the 9 Dots were women joined by jazz. We saw each other at concerts. We enjoyed each other's company, but we never had time to talk. And so we would meet once a month and have a potluck. And I grew to know Roberta so much better and love her. And she grew to be a great booster of mine. When she'd introduce me to people, she'd say, "This is Marilee Truss. She runs Concord Records." And I'd go, "Oh, please don't let Carl Jefferson hear you say that." And anyway, she was, as someone said before, most remarkable woman. And I know we all loved her, and we all miss her.
Hi, my name is Stuart Yasaki, and I've played with Roberta in a number of groups over the years. I think I met her when she was subbing for Gene in the Gene Global Swing Orchestra back in like 1981, something like that. And then right up until the Don Krieger Band, which rehearses here on Thursdays. And Don, who just lives a block away, is sick. So he said, "Can you represent the band?" So I'd like to tell you, if Don were here, he would tell you, this is his favorite Roberta story. Don and Roberta were playing in a small group, and I think it was piano, bass, drums, a horn, and a singer. And they were playing, and the singer had a tambourine. In every tune, the tambourine would come out. So the whole first set, every song, this tambourine was going on. They took a break, and they went over to have a taste there, and Don is sitting with Roberta, and Roberta looks at Don and says, "So, how do you think it's going?" And Don says, "Yeah, okay, except for that tambourine, And he said, Roberta didn't say anything, she just kind of nodded, and just kind of went on with the break. And after the break was over, they went back on the stand, and they're sitting there. And they start the next tune, and the singer gets the tambourine, and Roberta's playing the piano, and she says, "Put that tambourine down!" He said the tambourine shot across the dance floor, bounced off the wall. Never heard a note from the tambourine. So that's Don Krieger's favorite Roberta story. I got to tell you two personal ones with Roberta. When we were playing very early on, when Don put the band together, we were playing and Roberta, at the piano. And then during the break, I was just sitting there. This was one of the very first rehearsals that we were playing together. I just sat down and started noodling at the piano, and she's sitting there watching. And I finished, and she says, "Come over here." So I come over. She takes me to the table, sets me down, and says, "Put your elbow on the table." And I put the elbow on the table. She says, "Now drop your arm." And my arm went like this. She says, "You gotta loosen up. It's gotta go boom," like that. So boom. And ever since then, I try to play with no tension in my forearm, but still can't do it. It probably goes like this now instead of boom. But it's not like this anymore. And I thank Roberta for that. But my absolute favorite Roberta story, because she was so together, she was so hip, and she was, as you know, she was a woman. She was a formidable woman, man. You didn't mess with Roberta. She was always on the right side and everything. But we were playing in another band, and I was playing third alto in this band, and I couldn't make a rehearsal. And they got another guy to play third alto. I don't know if you guys know David Ueno, but he's a bit younger than I am. Japanese cat, younger than I am, and he had this kind of crazy head of hair and all that. And so he played the rehearsal. And the next time I saw her, she says, "Come over here." I said, "Where were you last?" I forget what night it was, Monday night, where it was at the rehearsal. I said, I had a gig, She says, "I'm so embarrassed." I said, why is that? She says, "They sent this other guy in. I thought he was you." I looked at him and said, "What did you do to your hair?" So what I love about that story is, man, Roberta could dish it out, but you could also take it, So I loved every minute I spent with her, and I learned a lot, and I had so much fun, and I thank everyone for being here, and it was great. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ann Willer. I first met Roberta in 1981 when I moved to San Francisco from Chicago. And I was working weird hours, and I'd get home and I'd walk up the street and sit in Keystone Corner, and there was always this other elegant blonde woman that was by herself there. And that's how we became friends. We would sit, a couple nights a week and listen to music. You all know Roberta loved parties. The very, very, very first party I ever went to her at a house was in the early 80s. The Count Basie Band was playing in San Francisco, and some of you may remember this party. It was pouring down rain, and she had used